Hello everyone, and welcome back to another tutorial using Affinity Photo. For this video, we are going to add rain to this picture. It was raining that day, but the rain didn't really show up in the photo like I wanted it to, so we're going to add a little dramatic rain to it. First thing we're going to do is we are going to create a rain brush. If you haven't adjusted any of your brushes before, now's a good time to learn. So we're going to go to our brushes. Just select number one, the basic brush, and we're going to right click and duplicate. It's going to show up right at the bottom. We're going to double click on that, and we come up with our brush settings. So to create the rain brush, we're going to increase that size to 15, just so we can see a little bit of what we're doing. Accumulation, we're going to leave it 100, but hardness, we're going to leave it 7. Spacing, we're going to move all the way up to 100%. Flow, we're going to drop to 65, and shape, we're going to drop down to 10. And you can see we already get a little bit of a raindrop look. We're going to edit this a little bit further. We're going to go into the dynamics menu, and real easy, everything's going to be moved to 100% for size jitter, accumulation jitter, flow jitter, and scatter Y. If you want a little bit more randomness, you can adjust the scatter X, and that way they'll bunch up a little bit more, but I like to have a little bit more control over this brush, so I'm not going to adjust the scatter X. Going back, you can see the settings we have, and we have our rain brush. Go ahead and select the paintbrush tool. Go over to color, make sure you have white selected, and we're going to add a pixel layer. Now when I like to paint in rain, I like to do 3 different layers. I like to do one layer for the large drops, another one for the medium drops, and then another one for smaller drops. That way we can customize them all a little bit differently and get that realistic looking effect. For this pixel layer, I'm going to rename it large drops. And from there, we can just randomly paint in the raindrops. I like just to do a nice little zigzag, nothing too major. We can always add more later, take stuff away. We're going to add another pixel layer, medium drops, and then use our left bracket to drop down the size a little bit. Go in, just lightly paint over more, and then one more pixel layer. Obviously, small drops. Lower that even more, and you can paint in those real little drops. Now, before we go any further, I want to get rid of some of these raindrops, especially the big ones that are covering up the face and neck and arms. I want the pupils showing through. I don't want the raindrops covering them up, so I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to lightly paint out some of the raindrops that I feel are distracting. Anytime you have a bunch of raindrops close together like this too, I don't mind getting rid of some of them. Medium, I think that one's a little bunched up. Same with that one and that one. Small is pretty easy. You don't usually need to worry about the small ones too much. From there, we're going to select the large drops, go to our live filter, and we're going to add a motion blur. Because we want the rain falling down, we're going to drop that rotation to 90 degrees. And for our large drops, we're going to increase it to the 100 pixels. So if we select that motion blur layer, you can see what it looks like before and after. We're going to do the same thing for the medium drops. Go to live filters, motion blur, 90-degree rotation, and for this, let's drop this down to about 62 pixels. Turn that layer on and off. We can see what that motion blur does to that raindrop. And now for the small raindrops, go back to your live filter, motion blur, 90 degrees, and if we go too much, you can see that the raindrops actually get lost in that blur. We don't really want that, so we're going to come down and we're only going to do about 50. We can select all of our layers and hit Control G, and now they're all grouped together. We can turn them on and off and see our before and after. I want to get rid of this raindrop right here. I feel like it's a little distracting. So instead of just erasing out that raindrop with that motion blur, you can see that the erase tool is not the most accurate with that blur on. Just click and hide that motion blur layer, and now you have the direct raindrop. Paint that out, turn that layer back on. It's a lot easier to do it that way than trying to erase something with that motion blur on. It gives you a little bit more control because you're not trying to compensate for that motion blur. And now, just to make it a little bit more realistic, we're going to click on that group layer and we're going to drop it down to about 70%. So there again is the before and after. Hopefully you guys like the video. I enjoy making them. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to see tutorial wise in the future, please leave it in the comments below. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.